You know, that was actually a brilliant little video I made when I said about architecture theory. I actually, many years ago, I actually wrote this down on a piece of paper. I called it my theory of architecture. I actually had different names for it. But it's the basic ideal that we all have a sort of blueprint in our minds. You know, and how it got there and how we created it is not really the point. It's more a matter of something we construct ourselves. Of how we think the world ought to be, how things should be. Whenever we go anywhere, whenever we do anything, we look at things and we think about how things ought to be. You know, I'm drinking wine from a wine glass, okay? But you know, some people are very picky. They'll look at a glass like this and say, oh, you hear red wine in that glass. That's a white wine glass, you know, because they have an architecture of how it ought to be. Whereas I'm an amateur, so I don't know, white wine, you know, red wine, all the same thing. You know, no, it's not the same. Yeah, because you have a blueprint in your mind of how things ought to be. You know, if I were eating a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, and I put an avocado on it and sliced it and put it on there, somebody else saying, oh, you don't put avocado on that type of sandwich. That ruins the sandwich. I hate it when people put, yeah, because you have a blueprint of how it ought to be. It ought to be without an avocado. And if I slice up some onions, oh no, you put an onion, oh no, that's even worse. Oh God, oh God, oh please, oh God. And I'd say, well, make bacon, lettuce, tomato, onions, avocado, and put a little mustard. Oh, oh fuck, oh somebody, oh God, call somebody, please. Somebody call 911. Motherfucker, put some mustard on this. Oh God, oh please, oh Lord, oh the humanity of it all. Because you have an architecture, you have a blueprint in your mind of how things ought to be. And when things don't happen according to your blueprint, you lose it. You lose it. When things don't happen according to your blueprint, you lose it. And people do that. There is a way you should handle a problem. There is a way you should deal with something. There is a way you should wear your clothes. There is a way you should answer the phone. There is a way you should, you know, wear your hat. There's a way in which you should, you know. The thing is, it's all about that. It's like there's a way you should spend your time and your money. But if you spend your time, your money, your things, everything in a way that is pleasing to you, and you're not hurting anybody in any way, in any kind of way, long-term, short-term, whatever, your behavior is pretty much good to go. It's just that the one part that really irks the oomph out of somebody is you're not doing what they think you ought to do. They have an idea of how it ought to be, and you're not doing it. Like, for example, let's say you have a friend. You meet somebody at work, and you enjoy that person's company and everything else. But then, you know, after work, what they do is they spend a lot of time going to church. After work, oh, I'm going to go to Mass tonight. Oh, I'm going to go to this church thing, and I'm going to go to this church thing. You go to church every day, yeah. You shouldn't go to church so much, because that's not good for you. Religion is just this, that, and the other thing. You know, I mean, when you do that, maybe your friend might tolerate you for a moment if you just, you know, a little mild criticism. But if you keep on over and over again, after a while, that friend is going to withdraw from you. Even if that person is just the most pleasant person you ever met, but you just don't think they should be doing all that stuff. And they give a large percentage of their income of what you consider large. Maybe it's not even that large. But they, you know, every week they give like $20, which isn't that big unless you're really super poor. But they give that much money to the church to help out with the homeless or whatever. And you say, oh, that's just too much. You know, when you sit there and dictate to other people what they ought to be doing, don't be surprised when people withdraw from you. I think I'm learning this lesson in life. You know, like dictating to people how they should be living, or what they should be doing, or who they should be friends with. You know, you start kind of, in a sense, I suppose it could almost be considered some degree of micromanaging somebody else's life. Not only, I mean, you find everything they do is just annoying. I had a friend who was like that. You know, unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago, but she was like that. She was the kind of person who disliked just about everything I did. I mean, we're friends, but everything I did was annoying to her. the kind of restaurants I went to, the things I did. And it was getting to a point where, unfortunately, it kind of created a split and a rift in our relationship, you know. And toward the end, I didn't have much contact with her, even when she was dying. I wasn't angry at her or anything. It just, I realized that no matter what I did, everything I did seemed to be wrong. Everything I did was wrong. And it's like, all I felt that would happen if I try to be with her and talk with her and spend time with her, she would just be miserable. It's almost like a friendship that didn't even make sense. I mean, I feel bad about the fact that she died. She went through this process of dying because she had a lot of problems, a lot of health issues. You know. And, but it was just like, I mean, sometimes people can do things where they think everything ought to be a certain, and you get so frustrated, man, because people go to this restaurant or they read these kind of books. Why you read these crazy poetry books? I hate poetry. Ooh. You know, my thoughts are, if you don't like poetry, don't read a poetry book. You like philosophy. Ooh, I can't stand philosophy. You know, the other day I heard somebody talk about philosophy and how much they couldn't stand it. Ooh. You know, I love philosophy. I mean, that's me. I love it. Spinoza, okay? Different people have different things in this world. And when you do this thing, you just create this gap. And after a while, the friendship no longer becomes a friendship. Nobody wants to be friends with somebody who condemns them for everything they do. You know, I don't form a friendship just to be condemned unless I'm you know, masochistic. unless I'm a masochist. I don't want to be friends with somebody who's just going to tell me everything I do is stupid. You know, why do you like those kind of movies? That's so stupid. You know, occasionally if somebody disagrees with something, okay. But, you know, if that's everything I do is just totally annoying to you. See, again, this gets back to what I call architecture theory. Because every one of us has an ideal of how the world ought to be. And how things ought to be. But sometimes, however, some of us create an architecture, a kind of structure that works. You know, it's like, my architecture is that people should accept each other for who they are. And I tend to include friends in who are those type of people who accept me for who I am. And those people who cannot accept me for who I am, then I tend to, you know, I'm not mean to people, but they just don't get into they don't get into my inner circle. They just don't. You know, you have to accept me for who I am. If I'm not bothering you or hurting you in any real way, the only hurt you feel is because I just don't live my life according to the way you think I ought to live it, you know. You know, that is a different story. The thing is, I'm a person who likes philosophy. I love to read, you know, psychology. That's one area I really enjoy reading. I like to listen to music, different kind of music. Yes, I like to listen to some rap music. And some people can't stand rap. And I like classical music. Probably more than I like rap, especially Bach and Mozart. I like a lot of different things, but you know what? If a person is going to criticize me for every one of those things, all that you do is create gaps. You create this big giant gap that will get bigger and bigger the more you just look at everything I do. And you know, because what some people do is they'll form a friendship with you, and then they see you as, and I said this once before to somebody, they see you as a fixer-upper. You know, they think, okay, well, he's a nice person, he's generous, he's this, that, and the other thing, and I like that about him, but I don't like all these other things, but I can change him. I can change that person. I can make him into the kind of person that I want him to be. I can change him. I know it. I know I can do it. And so a person sets out to do just that. They try to change you and make you fit more into what they think is the perfect friend. They try to customize you, like as if you were a car or something, you know, and they're going to take you to the car shop to be customized, you know. And you can't do that. You can't customize your friends or customize people. You can't just do that. What you have to do is adjust your thinking. to make so that things work. It's like being an architect. You know, you could construct a building in such a way that something can go wrong, maybe disastrously wrong. For example, you know, I was thinking about many years ago there was this disaster in Kansas City where at one of the big hotels there, they had a walkway. And the walkway collapsed. And I think 110 people were killed. And I remember watching on one of these science programs, they were talking about engineering and the mistake that was made when it had to do with this rod that was supporting all the weight of these two walkways. That was a mistake. It shouldn't have been a single rod holding up all that weight. The design flaw, a flaw in the way in which it was designed. Well, friendships can be that way. Relationships can be that way. Your whole life can be that way. You can have a flaw in the way you design things so that you're always frustrated and you're always having all these repetitive problems. I mean, there are things that happen in life you can't help. But then there are other things that you can because of the way in which you decide to put the pieces together. You can put the pieces together in a different way so that you don't have all these problems. I learned to accept people for who they are. That's my vision. That's my blueprint of life, is that we accept each other for who we are. And just like a construction person, I'm going to take in what I need for my project, so to speak. And the project of my life is to have friends who accept me for who I am. And those things which don't fit into that project, well, those get left out. You know, if you're building a building that's made of steel and aluminum and glass and no bricks, then somebody come and they want to offer you a truckload of bricks. No, because it's not a part of what I'm doing. Maybe those bricks work for somebody else. Go take it to the guy down the street. He's building a building of bricks. I'm building one that's made of steel and aluminum and glass and a whole bunch of other things, but not bricks. Okay? The same thing. Some people might want to have friends who fight them all the time. Some people like to battle. They like to fight and battle and debate and argue. And they feel good about that. I'm just not that kind of person. Okay? That's not part of my blueprint. And that's the way I see it. You know, that's all I have to say about that.